Hello, my name is Catie Frates. I'm a disciple of Jesus Christ. I'm a homeschool mom of 3 daughters for over 20 years, and I'm alive. It is possible. I'm the wife of Steve Frates and have been for over 30 years. Brave man, pray for him. And I have a degree in eukaryotic cell biology. I used to just say micro and cell biology, but people would confuse that with actually a micro degree. My degree is really looking at upper level cells, so cells like in plants and animals and what we would consider upper animals. So it would be a eukaryotic cell biology degree. And so I am a scientist by degree. I went to Auburn University and the University of Florida, and I worked in cancer research for a while. And the Lord called me to study creation science for the benefit of my own family, and then in his great sense of humor, he had me start to share that with other people. And he also gave me the huge blessing of calling me to teach children about science. And I love science. I'm a science nerd and always have been, and therefore it's a huge blessing to me to be able to share the science with other homeschooling students. And I appreciate you trusting me with part of your child's education. And I pray that we can make it fun, and yet it'll still be meaty and they'll get a lot out of it. If you are taking chemistry with us this year, we have a new textbook. We are using the Exploring Creation with Chemistry, the 3rd edition. If it's at all possible, try to get the 2nd printing of the 3rd edition. There are less mistakes in it than the 1st printing. If you get the 1st printing, and how you will know the difference is at the front of the textbook, it will have 2 authors listed if it's a 1st printing. That's how they told me. And if that is the case, then go to page 8, the Roman numeral 8, little v, little I, and it will give you the website, it will give you the password to get into the website, and then go ahead and go there and scroll down to where it says errata for the 1st printing of this textbook, and it'll give you a bunch of the corrections. And I'm sorry, but you or your young person can sit down and go through those, and that will help them, because there were a lot of mistakes. The 2nd printing, they said they fixed a lot of those mistakes. That's great. So make sure that you have the 3rd edition, because it is different than the 2nd edition. You can't use it and follow along with class. It won't work. In chemistry, the students need a calculator that they can do exponential calculations. I can't help them with some of these calculators. I just don't know how. That's why I suggested a particular calculator, because that's the calculator I know how to use. Your student is welcome to use a different calculator as long as they can do all sorts of exponential, they'll have to use scientific notation and be able to work those exponent things through scientific notation as they do their calculations. And so that's really important, that their calculator is helping them, not hurting them. They need to show all of their calculations. Everything needs to be written down and shown in chemistry. Some of these problems will be huge. They may make a tiny mistake way back in the problem and then do everything else right, and it might be a 25-point problem. I want to give them every point I can, so I really need to see all of their work. It's imperative that they write everything down so that I can go through it with them and make sure it's okay. After we finish each module, they will do the study guide, which in chemistry is a 2-part study guide. It'll have the practice problems and the it's got one section that's the concept and one section that's the math, is basically what it gets down to. And once we will go over that in class together, they will go home, they will study anything that they still might feel uncomfortable with, but they should go ahead and study all their on your own, study their lab write-ups, study the study guide, and then take their test, and then we will grade the test. Right after we pray in the next class, we will grade the test together. And I would always prefer you to let them bring their test to class and let us go over it and grade it together. You're welcome to grade it at home if they just can't stand it, which I'm one of those kind of people, so I would have to grade it at home first, just because I'd have to know. But if they want to do that, fine. Still bring the test to class, because we're going to go over it and I need them to be able to participate, so they need to bring their test. there might be problems that they have partial credit on that you might not give them, and I would. Especially with a new textbook, we're probably going to find some significant figure differences and errors. At least that has been my experience with the previous chemistry editions and even with their physics edition. And so definitely have your student bring their work and show me all their work so I can help them. When they do their lab write-ups, they have an example lab write-up on their syllabus. They are required to go ahead and write the title of the lab, the number of the lab, and then Roman numeral 1 would be the purpose of the lab, and that's what they're supposed to be learning in doing that. They can find that in the text. Roman numeral 2 would be the procedure. Do not do that in paragraph form, please. This is to be just short and either numbered or bulleted points to keep it very simple as to what they're supposed to be doing in the lab. Roman numeral 3 is observations and calculations, and there will frequently be calculations in chemistry. And so they will draw things there, they will describe what they saw, and they will put their calculations there, and we will do them as much as possible together in class. And then Roman numeral 4 will be their conclusion. Their conclusion is supposed to be stating the fact that they learned by doing that lab, God willing, and connecting that with their observations. And so when they do their reading, they should always read all of the on your owns, all of the labs, read everything within the text, doing the on your own problems. They need to make sure that as they do an on your own problem, they need to check the answers in the back of the chapter to make sure they're doing it correctly before they go on to do another problem, because perfect practice makes perfect. Practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. And if they practice it the wrong way and don't figure it out till later, they've actually patterned the wrong way in their mind. We don't want that to happen. So we want them to do a problem, check their answer, make sure they're doing it correctly before they go on to the next problem. And that is also the case when it comes to the back of the chapter. When they're doing the study guide, they need the answer key. They need to be able to check after each problem is done that they're doing it correctly. Otherwise, they need to go back or they need to wait and talk to me in class. I will be happy to do that. Students are always welcome to come have lunch with me, and I will be happy to help them if they need help. So there shouldn't be a problem. Students and parents should contact me through professorfrates@gmail.com. I changed to that email address because I was having trouble getting through the spam and finding student and parent correspondence, and therefore I started a new email address that is strictly being used for parents and students. So please feel free to contact me through that, and I will try to check that as regularly as possible. Parents, when you're grading chemistry, I would ask that the homework, what I would suggest, it's up to you, but what I would suggest is the homework be a third, lab write-ups be a third, and the test grades be a third. The homework should only be graded for completeness and neatness. It should not be counted off when they make a mistake. The homework is for the benefit of the student to learn the material, because they're going to be counted off over on the test. So they don't want to be counted off twice for it. So the homework, if they have a mistake, they need to fix it. They should be checking it as they go. So it shouldn't be an issue that they have mistakes. It should just be graded on completeness and neatness. And the lab write-ups, they should be complete and neat, and they should be graded on that, and they should get hundreds on those if they're just doing what they're supposed to be doing. And then on their test scores, we will grade them in class. They will come home with that, and then if you would average those, and that would be a third of their grade, that you will average those three averages up: their homework, their lab write-ups, and their test scores, and you go ahead and average those up, and you would determine their final grade, and that would be a honors chemistry with lab. In college, math and science are on a 10-point scale. That means 90 to 100 is an A, 80 to 89 is a B, etc. And therefore, I suggest that in science they be on a 10-point scale also. The whole reason that I'm teaching these classes actually is because I love science and the Lord's called me to it, and I want to bless your children, and I hope that I can teach them to love God's creation through science also. But I also am trying to help them prepare for college, because a lot of your kids are college bound, and therefore I'm really trying to point them in that direction. And so I think that the grading should line up with what the colleges are doing, and that's how they're doing it. Thank you again for trusting me with part of your child's education.